Jen with Jen May TV. Welcome to my channel. I am excited to just share these few steps, these few things that have completely helped me transform my mindset, renew my mind, shift into a positive versus a negative mindset. And I believe we all want this. We all want this no matter what type of goal we are trying to achieve. If that's a business, a dream, a health goal, being a better parent, it doesn't make a difference what it is. We need to have a positive mindset in it. And so for me, these are just 3 simple steps that allowed me to do that. And I personally have struggled myself with a lot of depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, worry, so on and so forth since I was a teenager. So I'm gonna start just a little bit on a quick snapshot of what I went through the last 20 something years that will help you overcome a negative mindset and replace those thoughts with positive thoughts. So moving from a negative mindset into a positive mindset. So for me, it has been a struggle since about, I'd say, middle school days. I tend to really go down that path of I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I'm not beautiful. I mean, I even go and just sort of skid back to when I would go to achieve a health goal, like even in my 20s and early 30s. And I had this thought process that I was ugly, I was fat. And I looked at the pictures at that time of when I thought those thoughts, and I wasn't at all. Like, there was no way possible that I was ugly or fat. And so I just sort of look back at those pictures and just take myself back to that thought process. And I struggled with this for so many years, I remember being a teenager and I was thinner than thin, like probably too thin. And I thought of myself as fat. And so I struggled back and forth with a lot of different eating disorders, with the thought process that I wasn't good enough. So I was always just competing and making sure that, I was pleasing everyone around me. And it just becomes this huge pattern where it does not actually benefit you, number one, but anyone else around you. Because when we let our light shine, it gives people permission to do the same. And so when we're succumbing to the idea of what society says we're supposed to be or what other people say we're supposed to be, we move out of that spotlight, that position that God has us in, and we go into, oh, well, they say this is how I'm supposed to look at myself. This is the size I'm supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to run my business. This is how I'm supposed to live my life. And there is no way, shape, or form that anyone knows anything better than the big guy upstairs about your life, about who you are, about your heart, about all of those things, your dreams, your hopes, all of that part of you really has nothing to do with what other people say. It has to do with your drive and your intention. And if you're gonna listen to that voice or the other voices. So it's very important to me that people really adjust and renew their mind to what, honestly, I believe God created us to think, to believe. We're not supposed to be in this negative bubble, believing these terrible things, not even just around us, about other people around us, but about ourselves, because we're not gonna thrive. We're not going to make a difference in the world. We're not gonna even pursue or accomplish the dreams God set in our heart if we're constantly looking around us. And if we're looking at ourselves in that unworthy way. So my biggest piece of advice is, yes, there is going to be a struggle in all of it. There's going to be a process in renewing your mind and changing the mindset and shifting from negative to positive. But it is okay. You will have hard, bad days. You will see where the shift starts happening. Maybe you'll take a step back and not even realize it. So don't be hard on yourself as you walk through this process, because I spent over 20 years changing my mindset, especially the last 3 years. I had a lot of time to focus in after coming from poverty, having a lot, and losing it all again. It can really mess up your mind. It can make you feel unworthy, unhappy, stressed, not good enough. I mean, I could go through the whole list. So I went through sort of all of these ups and downs. And so I feel like coming out of it and being where I'm at right now, being able to share the 3 simple steps that helped me, the biggest piece of advice again is just be patient with yourself. Know that if you got into a thought process or a pattern of thoughts for however many years, coming out of it isn't going to be, one day of, oh, I thought this thought, now I'm going to think this positive thought. It's going to be a constant sort of battle and a process as you go through it. 21 days creates a habit, and it could be a good or bad habit. The same with our thought process. 21 days of thinking the same thought, it starts becoming consistent. So the battle here is to beat those negative thoughts with the positive thoughts. And you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of what's going on through your mind. So you might not be excited about really finding out all of that stuff and actually paying attention to what you're thinking. But I will tell you, it will change your life. It will change the direction of your life. It'll actually change what you do each and every day, and it'll impact the people around you. So I'm excited to get into this. 3 simple steps that I personally take to step into a positive mindset. So you're going to basically just adjust, prepare is the best word for it. Each day, we have like 60 to 70,000 thoughts in our mind every single day. So you're not going to be able to catch all of them, but you will start seeing a pattern of certain thoughts that are actually affecting your life in certain areas, like relationships, work, business, fear. I mean, all of these different things, being a parent. You'll start seeing and being aware of thoughts that maybe you didn't even think you thought before, but now you're aware that, oh my goodness, I've been thinking that thought for a very, very long time. And that's what happened with me. I didn't realize how much I thought about how fat I was and how ugly I was and no man would want me. I mean, just ridiculous stuff. And so you'll probably start conjuring up and these just deep thoughts, but it's okay. So prepare yourself in the morning to go through the day knowing that you're not going to catch every thought. But when you do catch a thought, don't take ownership of it. It's more so like recognizing the thought, okay, there it is, and then going through the process of these simple steps. The first one is identifying the thoughts. And that's basically what I just told you. Just prepare yourself that there's going to be thoughts that come up, especially in like stressful situations, certain patterns that you go, like maybe you want to reach certain health goals and you just haven't been able to because there's a thought process in your head every single morning of going through the same type of pattern. So I used to have food addiction, and then I used to also starve myself. So I would go on each spectrum. And a lot of it was just the thought process and then my connection to what thoughts went through my head while I was eating food or while I wasn't eating food. Those are the thoughts you're going to want to start identifying and sort of pinpointing. If it feels like a lot at once, just start with a few thoughts that you really see making an impact in your life, in your decisions, in your relationships. And start sort of attacking those ones and then move on to the next. So again, it's going to be a process. So identifying those thoughts, continual ones, for example, thoughts of doubt, thoughts of discouragement, thoughts that I can't do this, thoughts that come up right before you're about to do something really, really big, thoughts right before you're about to maybe do some work to build your business, or thoughts right before you go into work. All these things, just sort of be aware of that, identify them, the self-doubt, the discouragement, and just know that they're there. That's it, that it's there. So that's step 1. The second step is disconnecting your identity to those thoughts. And so what most of us say is like, I have an eating disorder, or I am an alcoholic. I'm not either of those two, and I used to have an eating disorder, but that is where you see, like, you're actually giving that thought, that identity, power, and you're allowing it to sort of have control over your life and over your thought process. So disconnecting your identity to the thought is just saying, okay, well, I see this thought. I know it's there, and I've probably thought it since I was, you'll be able to sort of, take steps back and see where it's sort of rooted or started. And maybe you won't, but either way, You don't need to identify who you are with the thought. The thought is there, the process, the pattern, yes, but we can change a bad habit into a good habit. We have self-control, we have free will. And God gave us that so that we could have control over those things. So we can say, okay, there's a bad thought. I'm not going to think that anymore and purposely go into the positive thought, which is going to be step 3. But just stop giving it power. Stop saying, I am this, I have this is how I am, I've always been this way. It really is more so your connection to that identity. It's you believing that that's who you are. So the third step you walk into is just by the way to release that power is to just think an opposite positive thought when you become aware of the negative thought or the habit or what you're doing while that thought is going on. So maybe you're eating something and it tastes super good. I love my food, I will tell you, but what is the thought process? What are the thoughts that are going on in your head? So if you're eating something, you're like, I hate myself, blah, blah, blah. You're connecting that food to hating yourself. And now those two things are completely toxic for your mind, for your physical health, for your spirit, for all of it, for your heart. Like it can literally toxify. I don't know if that's a word, but it brings this toxic energy and just fills you up with the wrong things. And then it just sort of creates a spiral. So what we want to do is we want to catch that negative thought. We want to disconnect from the identity of it, and then we want to think of a new thought right over here. So what is that thought going to be? So if you constantly think that you are, say, ugly, so you're always looking in the mirror and the first thing that comes to mind is I'm ugly, I'm not as pretty as this person or XYZ. So you're going to instead, right, when you become aware that that thought's coming up, you're gonna have a specific sentence or something you say that is the complete opposite. And it's gonna be very consistent because we all know habits and thoughts are inconsistency, right? You've probably been thinking that thought for a very, very, very long time, maybe even from when you were younger and it's rooted to something else. So we're gonna take this and we're just gonna say the other thought. And it's not just thinking it, but if you have the ability, wherever you're at the time, you can speak it under your breath, okay? I used to do this all the time serving tables 3 years ago. I had lost my sister, I had lost everything, and so my thought process was just a complete mess all the time. So I decided when I would go into work in my little server notebook, I would put what thought or what scripture would basically attack the negative thought. And so while I was at work, I would think the thought and then I would just speak it under my breath. Nobody could hear me, but I was speaking it out loud still. If you have the ability of wherever you're at to identify the thought, become aware of it, disconnect from the identity, and then actually speak it out loud, I am beautiful, I am gorgeous, I am amazing, I deserve a good man, I deserve to be successful. Like whatever it is, just identify and speak it out loud and continue down that path of especially a frame of 21 days. I have tested this out multiple times myself, being able to overcome believing that I was fat, being able to overcome all these thought processes that I was unworthy, all these thought processes that I had struggled with since I was a child. I was able to overcome them through really focusing in on 21 days of doing this. So let's just attack a few of them at first, and then you can get into the experience and just the pattern of being able to attack more thoughts. So a few things I personally do is not only do I write out all the beliefs, the opposite thought, but I also write out scripture or a quote that really fires me up. That is the opposite of that. Also, I allow myself to meditate on really scripture that gives me sort of the power. So we've been given the power of self-control. We have been given the ability to take our thoughts and bring them into captivity. So they don't have to run wild. So if you think about it and you think about a thought that you're constantly thinking, you do have the ability to do everything I just said, but you're just allowing that thought to run itself. And again, if you struggle with depression, anxiety, worry, a lot of what I struggled with, like I said in the beginning, It's not going to happen overnight. You know, it just is something you've been doing for many, many years. Just stop connecting yourself to the depression. So instead of saying I have depression, say I struggle with depression. It allows you to really sort of transfer that ownership into your hands, and then you start down the path of removing the negative thoughts and replacing them with the positive. So I hope this helps. I know that in any area of life, especially our relationships, we can do a lot of things that can affect, hurt, or break them from deep-rooted issues or thought processes that we've had for years. And this can affect business, work, being a parent. It can affect all of these different, it's sort of a domino effect all over our lives. So being able to just catch them, being able to disconnect from the identity of that thought or who you are is that thing, and really replacing it with the truth, which is you are amazing, you are beautiful, you are capable. We all make mistakes. Every single day we make mistakes. And even if you've made some really, really big ones, that was yesterday, it's not today. The past is the past, we are in the present, and you can work on your future self by going through this process. So I hope this helped. If it did, please comment below. Let me know if it has helped you in any way, or share anything that's worked for you, just shifting from a negative to positive mindset. Thanks for being a part of Jen May TV. Follow me on Instagram here. Follow me on Facebook here. All right, everybody, have a blessed day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.